Jasmine Crockett didn't see this one coming.
Who are currently in those seats?
One of them is Lloyd Doggett, and the other one is Wesley Hunt.
So the Democrat seat elected a white man,
Yes.
and the Republican seat elected a black man.
Yes.
Okay.
During her testimony before the Texas House, Jasmine attempted to argue against the state's recent redistricting efforts, but Katrina Pierson quickly exposed the flaws in her argument, turning Crockett's own words against her, leaving her completely speechless.
And so I just don't think it's fair to just assume that the Anglo districts are going to lead to more Anglo representation.
Those
were your words, so I'm just...
And today, we're covering it all, because we're not here to blindly follow parties. We're here for common sense. So if you're an independent thinker, hit that subscribe button and let's jump right into it.
My question is for Congresswoman Crockett. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your thoughts on the map. I hear you, I understand. But you did mention something in your testimony that I think is worth drawing out a little bit on. You mentioned previously the two Anglo seats from before.
Yes.
Who are currently in those seats?
One of them is Lloyd Doggett, and the other one is Wesley Hunt.
And does that mean one is a Democrat seat and one is a Republican seat?
Correct.
Okay. So the Democrat seat elected a white man.
Yes.
And the Republican seat elected a black man.
Yes.
Okay. And then so today you're concerned about the new Anglo seats, and the assumption that you're making is that it's going to lead to more Anglo representation.
It is.
Okay.
Because so to be clear, because I may have not been clear, these seats are not about who gets elected. They're about who gets to choose who is elected.
For context, the lawmaker questioning Jasmine is Katrina Pierson, the former national spokeswoman for Trump's 2016 campaign and now a Texas state representative. So with her background in messaging and political strategy, she knows how to cut through talking points. The core issue in the Texas redistricting debate centers around voter dilution, and Jasmine's argument focuses on maintaining majority-minority districts like the one she currently represents. Her stance is that without racially drawn lines, communities of color lose political power. But as Katrina rightly pointed out, voters don't always elect based on race, as plenty of candidates of color have won in districts that aren't majority-minority. Still, Jasmine dismissed that logic, and she followed up by saying this.
My district, while it is an African-American opportunity seat, it is an opportunity for African-Americans to choose their representation. But they don't have to elect a black person. We have a similar seat in Memphis, Tennessee, that historically was always represented by the Ford family. Harold Ford Sr. and Harold Ford Jr. had it, but now it is a white man that is representing that black seat. So it's not about the faces of the seats. It's about who gets to choose who's in the seat. And that doesn't mean that they're going to choose their own race. As you see, two Anglo majority seats, one went for a white candidate, one went for a black candidate. It's not about us as candidates. It's about the people that get to do the choosing.
Well, I would argue that based on the testimony that we've heard over the last week or so, it's both. We're hearing racism all over the place. We're hearing people want to choose people who look like them, which apparently has been happening. And I just wanted to make it clear that, something that has not been said yet is that there are minority Republicans. There is a Black and Hispanic Republican on the dais.
Exactly. Let's be clear. Ensuring fair representation for minority communities, that's an important goal, and it's central to the Voting Rights Act. That said, Jasmine's argument falls flat the moment you look at the numbers. You see, minorities or people of color make up nearly 1/3 of all House seats. And guess what? Around 7 in 10 of these members hail from majority-minority seats. So in theory, the system is working, but there's a deeper problem that people overlook. These districts, while well-intentioned, they can resemble modern-day segregation, the very thing the Voting Rights Act was meant to prevent. In simpler terms, to qualify as a majority-minority district, one group must exceed 50% of the voter base. But what happens to the neighboring areas where that group makes up 20%? Their influence gets diluted. Instead of spreading representation, this setup ends up packing voters into one district while weakening their voice elsewhere.
And so I just don't think it's fair to just assume that the Anglo districts are going to lead to more Anglo representation.
Again,
but those were your words, so I'm just
again, I
up.
apologize if that is how it was interpreted, but my clarification is that when we're talking about the law and the Voting Rights Act, it's never been based upon who it is that gets elected. It's based upon who it is that gets to choose who is elected. And unfortunately, adding 2 more Anglo seats in a state that added, if we're going on the census that came out in 2021, there were only 180,000 new Anglos to this state. So the idea that we would take the bodies of Black, brown, and Asian, 95% of what allowed this state to garner 2 new seats, and basically use their bodies for the benefit of making sure that a shrinking majority continue to hold on to power is wild.
The last sentence is key here, because if you look at some Democrat-run states, one could argue a shrinking majority is using redistricting to cling to power. For instance, Vermont saw a big shift to the right in 2024, yet not a single Republican represents the state on the national level. Or California, where Trump increased his vote share in 45 of 58 of the counties in the same year. Yet, the recently passed Prop 50 will most likely cement one-party representation for a major state. Basically, Jasmine cries foul when Republicans redraw the lines, but she's perfectly fine when her own party engages in aggressive gerrymandering. And just to be clear, this isn't a one-sided problem. If elections are structured so the outcome is nearly predetermined, it raises a serious question. What's the point of voting if the result is already baked into the map?
Well, again, when you start shifting people around, they found historically, I want to say it was around the 2010 redistricting, that what Texas did is they decided to add basically low propensity Latinos in one of the districts. So that, again, that district would not be Latinos being able to elect their representation because they took people that they knew had a low propensity to show up.
And so on that note, with these new lines, political performance was taken in consideration.
That is what we've heard from the bill author, yes.
And in previous hearings, I mentioned specifically that in the state of Texas, President Trump did win a majority of the Hispanic voters in the state. And just to broaden that even further, those are the numbers. President Trump did win the majority of the Hispanic votes in the state. In fact, he flipped, I believe it was 10 counties in the state. So don't you think that is reflective of this map, this proposed map, that the minorities who are here with the new minority districts that have been created, it is reflective?
These exact arguments are currently being tested in courts. You have Democrats arguing that the newly drawn map unfairly dilutes minority voting power. On the other hand, Republicans push back by pointing to shifting political trends, especially in 2024, where a noticeable number of the same voters leaned more conservative. So by extension, that doesn't make it racial targeting or suppression. Let me know in the comments your thoughts on the story. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and remember, keep thinking.